In this video, we're going to look at the shelf life of coffee. That is how long you can expect coffee in bags like this to last. And we're also going to look at hints and tips for storing coffee when you get it home and have opened the bag. Hi, my name is Gareth. I'm the owner of Carvetii Coffee Roasters. As a coffee roaster, we want you to enjoy our coffee in the best possible condition. So things like the shelf life and storage of our coffee are really important to us. Today I'm going to give you some advice on buying the coffee in the first place and also some hints and tips on storing the coffee once you get it home. There are two processes at play when we talk about the shelf life of coffee. The first is the loss of volatile aroma compounds. As soon as we roast the coffee and as soon as it drops out of the roaster, we are losing volatile aromas. Over the course of days, weeks and months, the amount of volatile aromas in the coffee diminishes. We want you to enjoy the coffee with the most volatile aromas in it possible. These aromas contribute to the overall character, flavour and excitement of the coffee. They're what makes roasting, brewing and drinking coffee so enjoyable. So the simple bit of advice we can give you in terms of buying your coffee is to buy coffee as close to the roast date as possible. Maximise the amount of those volatile aromas that you're going to get in the coffee. There's a second process that's worth mentioning, and that's the staling of coffee or the development of off flavours. This doesn't happen for much longer. In a bag of coffee such as this, it won't happen for around about 3 months. And if we pack the coffee in an inert atmosphere, we can extend that shelf life for as long as 12 months. But we have to understand that throughout those months, we are still losing volatile aromas. That's one thing we can't really stop happening in the bag. The coffee doesn't sit dormant in the bag. It is shedding volatile aromas all the time. So buy as close as you can to the roast date and drink as close as you can to the roast date. What do we mean by as close as we can? We think it's about a month. Anything up to about a month and you're really going to maximise your enjoyment of a bag of coffee. If you're an espresso drinker and if you have an espresso machine at home, and it's espresso that you enjoy drinking, then there's a little bit of extra information you need to bear in mind. When we roast coffee, we develop or we build up carbon dioxide gas within the bean. And over the course of 7 to 10 days after roasting, the bean naturally sheds this carbon dioxide gas. We call it off-gassing or degassing. It's better if you're brewing espresso to allow all of this gas to leave the coffee. So around about 7 to 10 days after the roast date is a really good time to start enjoying coffee through an espresso machine. Another tip I can give you in terms of buying coffee and maximising those volatile aromas is to buy beans. As a bean, the coffee's going to have a lot more of a shelf life than if it's ground. Oxygen accelerates the loss of volatile aromas. It takes a while for oxygen to penetrate into a coffee bean, whereas if we grind a coffee bean, we expose much more of it to oxygen and therefore we speed up the loss of those volatile aromas. Buy beans and only grind as much coffee as you intend to use at a time. It's the best approach and it'll maximise your enjoyment of this bag of coffee. So you get the coffee home and we open it and immediately we expose the whole bag to oxygen in the air. So the next question is, how long can we expect this bag of coffee to last once we've opened it? If you've followed my first bit of advice and you've bought the coffee as close to the roast date as possible, we think you can honestly get a good week's worth of use out of this coffee. Once you've taken your portion out for the day, All you need to do, reseal it, and at the same time, try and expel as much of the air out of the bag as you possibly can. And then store the coffee in a cool, dry place, avoiding the fridge. The moisture in the fridge is going to do harm to your coffee. So as far as possible, find somewhere dry, in a cupboard, out of the way. It's as simple as that. You don't need to worry about things like fridge, and we don't really think we need to worry about plastic containers. Use the bag it comes in, squeeze as much air out as you possibly can, reseal it, and there we go. It's going to be good for about a week for you, if it's kept in bean form. Finally, a little note on freezing. Many of our customers successfully freeze coffee and swear by it. I've never tried it. We've never used that approach here. And there's not a huge amount of research out there that suggests it's a good or a bad thing. From what I've read, there's been some positive results. If freezing is something you'd like to try, have a go. If it works for you, then why not? If it extends the shelf life and you're happy with the results, then why not freeze the coffee? So there we go. Some ideas on how to store coffee. So to recap, buy the coffee as close to the roast date as possible. Buy beans and only grind what you intend to use each time. Once you've opened the coffee, try to use it within a week. Reseal the bag, squeeze out all the air, and store in a cool, dry place. And by all means, try freezing. If it works for you, fantastic. If you've got any thoughts or comments or any questions about what we've spoken about today, please feel free to leave a comment, and I would love it if you could follow and share. Thanks for listening.